So, hey, everybody, back with another ACH interview. Today, we have the awesome therapist Shabnam with us today. Thank you so much, Shabnam, for joining us. Shabnam's got a really cool story, guys. If you've watched our YouTube videos over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months, you may recognize her because she actually got to do one of the coolest demos during the ACH training, where it was fear of driving. If you guys want to go check that out in the YouTube channel, I'll leave the link below, guys. Go check that out. We did some cool testing where one of the students actually took her out for a drive. He's a driving instructor. But all of that aside, Shab's going to talk about her experience with the demo, but also talk about her experience with the clients as well. So let's dive in. I do want to pick your brain about what was it like to have the ACH demo done with the fear of driving and all that sort of stuff. What was that like for you?
It was the most strangest experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
At the time, I can't remember it. The only reason I know what went on is because I watched the demo. I watched it back.
Yeah.
And it was so weird because that didn't seem like me speaking, because you would say something and I was telling you, like, first it was all me telling you, oh, I'm scared, I've become scared of driving, this is happening and I can't do this. And then certain questions you were asking me and I was just replying in a way that it didn't even seem like me. I just seemed so strange and it didn't even make sense what I was saying. Yeah. And it kind of triggered stuff, and all of a sudden I think the word that you used was, you said, I used the word, because you asked me what's different about this journey that you're going on, that you went on, where you started to get scared, and what to all the other times, because I've been driving ever since I got my license. It was never an issue, and all of a sudden I got this strange phobia, and it was something to do with control. And that had such a massive effect on me. I mean, I kept on laughing throughout the session, and it wasn't funny. I was terrified of driving. It wasn't funny, but I was laughing the whole way through. And then after that, it was just like, oh, it's not even a problem anymore. So I went out with Paul and I was able to drive. But what that triggered for me was a whole lot of other things that was related to. It had nothing to do with driving. It was something else going on in my personal life that just all of a sudden made sense. And since then, everything has changed. Like my own personal life, my business, how I do things. How much money I make, everything's just kind of changed. For like some of it, was difficult, but in terms of business side, it's just kind of like been brilliant.
Yeah. So what was it like we got some of the footage of Paul taking you out. What was that like to go out and drive? Like, it looked like you were having a lot of fun, no dramas.
No, and it was weird because Paul was really good. He stayed quiet because he didn't want to become part of the experience. I only go driving out, and I needed Paul with me every time I go out. So which would have been a bit awkward. But I was driving. It just seemed like what? There is no. What am I doing? Like, this is fun. And I started to laugh the same way I was laughing in the session. So that had become like, that was the resource that I found to help me with whatever I was scared of. And I was driving along and realizing that, oh, hold on, look, we're so high up. So I was scared of being on a highway, which was actually high. And I was like, oh, look, see the trees. And I was laughing. I was like, oh, look, there's a lorry going past. Oh. And it was ridiculous. It just didn't feel, and ever since then, it's just not even been an issue. It doesn't even, I can't even figure out why it had become an issue. It's like, why was I scared?
Now, being with your background in therapy and what you sort of know about therapy and coaching and hypnosis, been in the industry for such a long time. I mean, the demo that we did with you, there was no eye closure, nothing really hypnotic going on. It was just was that sort of like your first experience with this sort of conversational style of therapy?
That was my first experience as a client. So I thought, I'd probably close my eyes and, go quiet for a while, but it was quite the opposite. I mean, I went into sort of not being able to speak properly. I got really confused.
There's a lot of confusion.
And I'm one of those people, I can yap on forever. And you asked me a question, I was like, but no, I didn't really know what I was saying. And then the laughter just started and it wouldn't stop. So it was so weird. It was I've never experienced, I'd had hypnosis before for the same issue. And it had helped me slightly in the sense that I was fine. And that's what made me train in hypnosis, because I was like, wow, this is some sort of magic I need to learn. But it came back again, like that whole problem with the driving. I was able to drive for a while, and then it came back again because that was just a symptom of what the underlying problem was.
Yeah. And I think it's really
traditional hypnosis wasn't, it didn't do enough. It helped me. It kind of put like a plaster on it. It was like taking a paracetamol when you've got a headache.
Yeah. But instead of fixing the real thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's really important. That's why we always say, like, who wants to do a demo, to jump up and actually do the demo straight away, so you can sort of experience what it's like. I mean, that has connotations. And now that you've experienced ACH and you've been through all the trainings and you're nailing it with your business and clients, how easy was it for you to transition from doing the demo and learning ACH to now working with clients in this way?
Well, I went straight into it. I had watched your the course originally, and I had started to try using conversational hypnosis in my sessions, especially with people who thought hypnosis was just too weird. The really logical minded people. And I kind of felt like, you know, this is kind of working, but I was still falling back on the other techniques that I'd learned. But once I did the training with you, and I did I didn't even do that many practice sessions. I did a few practice sessions with other therapists, and I still had clients at the time. So I just started working with them and and it was just amazing. I mean, it really changed my whole business, because before I was doing 3-month packages, and then they kind of went down to 8-week packages when I started to use conversational hypnosis, not complete all ACH, but a little bit of conversation. So I started going down to about 8 weeks. Once I trained in ACH and then started using that with the clients I had, and we had these long packages still, like 8 weeks seems really long now.
Now it is.
And we'd do ACH, and they're like, okay. I had some clients just not wanting to have any more sessions. I was like, okay. And initially it was like, oh yeah, but they paid for like 8 weeks, and we've only done 2, and it's all done. But the point is that they didn't need any more, and I was like, no, I'm fine. I've got what I needed. And I was like, okay, cool. So that it was just like straight into it. And after that, I haven't used any other technique at all. I've not gone in, you know, I haven't thought, because it always felt really rigid, and it was so exhausting.
For you or the clients?
For both. That I think what I love about ACH is that, one, it puts the client in control. In the sense that you're not, although you're guiding them, so you know, you're guiding them to find the answers, you're not telling them what to do. And you know, they don't come in, they don't have to surrender all control. Whereas in traditional, and this is the problem I had, and why I probably found it so difficult myself, like you have to sit there, and then the hypnotherapist tells you, okay, now close your eyes, take a deep breath. I want you to imagine 10 steps.
Start telling you what to do. So
you're telling them what to do. And the majority of the clients that I worked with were not into, you know, the fluffy stuff, and they're very logical people. So it was, some of them, quite a struggle to do all this. And then I was, you know, I trained in so many different modalities, seriously, Scott, because I was trying to find the thing that really worked for me and for the clients. What I didn't like was doing the regression, forcing someone to go back to memories of a certain time to find the answer, and then them almost, you know, in sort of re-traumatizing them if you don't do it right. And I didn't even know any of this, but the training that I did was like, okay, you take them back to memories to find the root cause. And then I'd see that some people would get really traumatized. So I had to then do some more training in trauma.
To let that go.
So that I could handle that stuff. So I didn't come from the therapy background. I came from a corporate background. I was like, okay, now I've got people telling me some really serious stuff. I need to be trained up to make sure that I can help them. With ACH, if they don't want to go there, they don't go there.
But I think if they do, it's not even just their choice. That's just what their mind, and we always say this, like their mind will choose the best type of therapy. You don't have to do a thing except put them in a place where they got that choice.
And I think it's such a more gentle way to work with any kind of issue that a person has. And if that's got a root in some severe trauma, it's just managed so much better. You can see you because we're paying attention now. Before I was just like, I was more focused on, okay, so I need to do these steps.
Yes.
I need to make sure I do these steps. Okay, I need to regress them. Once I regress them, I've got to ask these questions to get these answers. And once I've got those answers, then I need to put those answers into a script that I've got and read that to them. And then after that, I've got to do this. So all the focus was on trying to make sure that I follow all the steps. And even though I was doing it for the client, my focus wasn't 100% on the client, because I was missing so many of, now I understand, I was missing so many clues and little cues from them on what was really the issue. And now, because with ACH, my entire focus is on the client. I don't have to, I'm not looking around. I don't have a big fat folder with all these scripts right next to me. I mean, I've got them there. I still haven't been there, so that's got to be cleared out soon. But my focus is on that client in front of me, and I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have to try and fix them. I'm just listening, and I'm letting them sort of find their own way, and, you know, only opening my mouth and saying something when I need to. Whereas in the other sessions, I was constantly talking. So if it went on for 2 hours, I was exhausted afterwards. And then I had to make a recording for them as well. And I had sore throats nearly every other, you know, month. I had a really bad sore throat because of all the talking I did. Now I have sessions, Scott, and sometimes I was just sitting there. I'm just sitting there and they're just doing what they need to do. And it's like, okay, we're done. Okay.
I mean, you can contrast that to the demo that you had, and guys, that's a demo. You guys don't come to ACH to have therapy, it's to learn the demo, but the therapy is sort of the byproduct of that. If you look at where your problem sort of morphed into, the resource you found, and where all these things are unraveling right now in your life for the better, you couldn't script that. There's no way in the world you could have prepared for what's happening in your life right now, or even prepared. I mean, if you watch the demo, a lot of it's just you laughing. That's the therapy, though. That's, I think, the power of it. There's not me having to talk a lot. You as the therapist, you don't have to talk a lot, but you're putting a client in a place where all of those aha moments and knots that we talk about are in a place where they can be received properly.
It's just, and you know what, more than anything else, I look forward to every single session I have. And it feels like, it's like an adventure. I just never know
where it's going to go,
what's going to happen. And, you know, sometimes it might be really sort of heavy stuff. But it's just mind blowing, and I don't feel exhausted afterwards. You know, because one, the sessions don't last as long, and two, it's the client doing what they need to do to get to where they need to get to. And I'm literally just sitting there. I think it's so much more personal, because you are paying attention to somebody, giving them your entire, you're like, they are the only person in the room at the time, and you're giving them all your attention, and you're just listening to them like nobody's ever listened to before. Paying attention to everything. And I think that's where the magic is. It's just, it seems so simple. It doesn't make sense.
And there's no prep. You don't have to prepare for anything. So if your client literally said, hey, I want to go on a Zoom call in the next 30 seconds, it's okay, let's go. There's no prep. There's nothing to prepare for.
Literally, that's one of the biggest things, and why I have so much more time now, is that I don't have to prepare beforehand. So sometimes I'd get, you know, I used to have this massive form that I'd get someone to fill out before, so that I knew exactly what I need. You know, it was all about their history and their parents and their so much stuff. So I'd have to read through all of that to prepare. Then I'd be, okay, so, all right, seems like it's this issue, it might be this. Then I'd have to go and find the script for it. And then I'd have like 10 other scripts just in case. So much preparation. Then after the session, it's like, okay, so now I need to record something. And I've got 2 dogs barking all the time. So it's like, okay, stop the recording, start again, stop. It was just too much. It's so simple now. I just turn up.
And look, you know that, you know that a lot of that pre-stuff that a lot of therapists do, 99% of that is all conscious fluff that has nothing to do with the real thing anyway. I don't know why people focus so much at that point, but again, that's a massive time saver not to have to deal with that stuff.
so much, because I don't need to know anything about them.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything about the client when they turn up. So now that's just made it so much easier.
Yeah.
That it's one less barrier for them as well to get to work with me. So they don't, so a lot of people get put off by all of that stuff to do. And a lot of the people that I work with, I work with 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs who are really busy.
Yeah.
And they don't have the time, to fill out forms. And the other thing I used to make people do was get them to journal. That was like
homework. Yeah.
Homework, all the sheets I used to give them. So because I trained in the psychotherapy and the trauma stuff, I had all these worksheets, and I'd give them tons of stuff to do in between sessions. And sometimes they'd do it, sometimes they didn't do it. And it was just like, it was more stuff to do. Now they don't have a lot to do except for what we do in the session, and then whatever processing goes on in their mind. And I have literally nothing to do except for switch on my Zoom, sit there and do whatever we do. And then after that, it's done. I could have another client straight after if I wanted to, but I don't. I've got more time to myself and do other things. So
the way it should be. What's been the most surprising thing as far as working with this style with the clients? Like, any interesting stuff come up with clients?
Yes. Okay. This one just, I told you a bit about this already. I worked with a client who is deaf.
That's right. Yes.
He can't hear anything. And we follow each other on LinkedIn. He was really intrigued by what I do. We had a few conversations, and now the way we have conversations is on Google Meet. So with subtitles. So he can't hear anything I say. He would try to sort of lip read. So the way he communicates is by he speaks, but he will either lip read or he will read the subtitles, the captions, what you're saying. So there's a bit of delay. So I would speak, the captions come up, he'd read, and then he'd answer. So we'd been having conversations for like the past year or so, and all my client results have been so amazing. I get video testimonials, so I was always posting them on LinkedIn, and that's been my main sort of platform that I post on. And he was really intrigued, and we would talk about it. I told him about Milton Erickson. I told him to watch the because I never thought that I'd be able to help him through hypnotherapy until ACH came along. And so he had tried self-hypnosis, and that is like his way of trying it was that whole, okay, I need to close my eyes, imagine steps, do this. And he said it was really difficult and it didn't work, but he was so intrigued and he wanted to work with me. I was like, well, let's give it a go.
Let's try.
Let's try it. So he blocked, the first time we did it, he blocked out an hour. Now, we were just having a conversation, and it was with having the session. I would say something and he would read it, and then he would just go into like really long stories, and it was like he was verbally going, his trance was like a verbal trance. Like blah, blah, blah. And then every now and again he would do this. So at the time it didn't click what was going on until I watched that demo with Erickson and the lady's hand, right? He would keep on sort of like tilting his head and his hand would go up. But I couldn't get his attention to look at me, and I couldn't ask him, well, what's going on with your hand? Because he would be looking away. And the only way he would know that I'm saying something is if he looks at the screen and reads what I'm saying. So I would sit there and I'm waiting for him to look back. So when he would look back, then I'd say something, and then I might have missed the opportunity and then would go into something else. And it went on. And now 5 minutes before the session finished, I was like, oh shit, this didn't work, right? I thought I nearly had him, but didn't. And then he started talking about a particular thing, which was really funny, and we were both laughing. And then he just goes, hold on a minute, I don't understand. Why do I feel like I'm going to cry? I was like,
got him.
No, what? Yeah. And I was like, shit, we've only got a few minutes left. And he goes, well, I said, maybe you want to cry then? He goes, well, I don't cry. I really don't cry. And he goes, he comes from a very Midwestern tight upper lip kind of background. It's like US. And he said, I don't cry. And I said, well, it looks like you want to cry. And he goes, well, I can't because I've got like a call to go. And I said, well, okay. And I was like, I wanted to carry on, but we couldn't. He said, okay, I'm going to get off. And then he got off, and then he told me that he cancelled the call afterwards.
Yeah.
And the problems that he was having was around, so I don't want to say too much because like he's very well known on the platform, but there were certain things that he was struggling to do.
Sure.
And he sent me a message a couple of days later. He goes, I don't know, something really weird happened. I've done this, I've gotten up at this time, I've done this. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think we even had a breakthrough, but something has happened.
That's the processing. Yeah.
Yeah. And he then told me that, you know, he's never felt emotional like that before. I was like, okay, let's get another session in, because we didn't quite finish. So I got him back, and this one went on for 2 hours. And the reason why it took 2 hours is literally because he would go into like looking away and talking. So I would just have to sit there and wait for him to look back at the screen. And then when he did, I was picking up on the words, and there was one word that just tripped him up.
So that's easy for you because you can read it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was one word tripped him up, and I repeated it to him, and the word was ridiculous. And then we had like a 10-minute conversation around the word ridiculous, about how ridiculous it is to be ridiculous. And it was just the weirdest, funniest thing.
Yeah.
But I just kept going with it, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
And then after that session, like, he keeps on sending me messages. I keep on getting these little like, oh, by the way, guess what? I did this.
That's the processing. Yeah.
And I did this, and I did this. So things that he came, like the biggest thing he wanted to work on was the fact that he had hit, and this is my niche, like helping people to break through their upper limit when it comes to their finances. So if they're making 10K and they want to get past that, or they're making 20K, they want to get past that. And he had like this, he said, he always just hits this limit and he can't get past it. So he sent me a message yesterday. He's launched something which he launched before, and already before the launch is even finished, he's doubled what he made in the first launch, and it's not even finished. And he goes, I've already blown my target. This is brilliant. Wow. I was like, how did this happen?
But again, it's the same. If you look at the contrast, your session and what you did with this gentleman, the fact you didn't know what was going on is what made it work. And I think this is one of the hardest principles we teach you guys. It's one of the hardest things to wrap your mind around, because I wanted to as well. I wanted to understand it completely. Yeah. When you try and do that, you screw the whole thing up. But when you bring that element of fun into it, where you don't have to try and understand it, it just tends to work out, which is cool.
It's just amazing. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is like, stop trying to be clever.
Yes.
Because it's like almost like this ego thing that you want to be the person who knows how to help this.
The hypnotist ego. Yeah, we talk about that in Mac. Yeah, you got to get rid of that.
And now it's like, I'm not the person with the answers. And I even say that, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't care, but it's just witnessing what happens and just going with it and letting go. It's just been, I think right from the beginning, this has been the thing that I was missing. Like ACH was what was missing. And it's just it seems like the most natural way to help somebody, and the most fun way, regardless of what you're working with. And I literally come out of sessions and I have no idea what happened. I have to quickly write notes so that I can use some of the stuff for content.
Yes.
Because some stuff comes up and it also triggers things in me. It's like, oh, sometimes I think when I've watched like videos of Milton Erickson, and there's all this talk about that he was in a trance most of the time, and his clients go to, I literally feel like I'm in a trance most of the time when I'm in these sessions, because I can't remember half the stuff, and I wish I could record it, but I mean, clearly you can't be recording client sessions, so I don't. But it's mind-blowing. It's like I've got a nickname on LinkedIn now, and it's become my headline. So forget about me having to write what my niche is anymore on so it's not like just I help blah, blah blah blah. It's Queen of Voodoo.
That sums it up. I love that.
And it wasn't me who said that. It's like whenever I would put a testimonial and some like clients would write something, and it was always like, oh gosh, this is some kind of magic, this is some kind of voodoo. And that's the only way I can explain this. It's like, I can't explain what happens. There's some sort of magic that's happening, even though I'm the most logical person. I'm the most logical person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that this is like magic, but it is, because it makes no sense.
Yeah. What's been your biggest, sort of last question, what's been your biggest takeaway with ACH? What do you think's really helped you to understand?
So many. The biggest thing is literally that the client, I just need to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're in the driver's seat.
Yes.
Pay attention to what's going on and stop thinking about me.
Yeah.
It's not about me trying to help them. It's just pay attention and just have fun in the sessions. It's just like, this is so much fun to do. I'm seriously obsessed.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time. People are probably bored or have signed up to ACH because I talk about it all the time. It's just like, in everyday life, I'm like, I think I just ACH that person.
Yeah. You can't turn it off.
Like, you can't turn it off. You just can't turn it off. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And what I'm going to do, guys, two things. If you want to check out the demo we did with Shabnam, and I actually did the breakdown of the demo, why we did certain things in the demo, I'll leave that below. But also, if you're interested in contacting Shabnam, she is a complete wealth of knowledge when it comes to her niche. Obviously, working with her clients, you guys will be able to see all the testimonials for that. I'll leave your details, if that's okay with you. I'll leave your details below if people want to get in contact with you. But there we go, guys. Another ACH success story. We're going to see you on the next ACH training in like 3 weeks. And then Masters will be just after that for another round of demos. And let's see where it goes. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Shabnam. Bye for now.
Bye.